everyone. It's another exciting episode right here on Sport 101. And it comes from, the backdrop of exciting weekend of football action across the various major leagues in Europe, i.e. the English Premier League and the Spanish La Liga. And boy, oh boy, it kicked off in an exciting fashion, both in the La Liga and in the EPL. And obviously, we're here to preview and review all the games and the major talking points that happened over the weekend, especially from the EPL. So if you're a United fan, if you're an Arsenal fan, this is the show you need to be watching. We are live on YouTube. But there's no better place to start off from. We start off from the La Liga and we'll venture into the EPL. Sammy, Kofi, it kicked off, in an exciting fashion. Barcelona defeating Mallorca, albeit it wasn't so much of a difficult game. But I know if you've listened to Hansi Flick's post-match press conference where he was very, very upset. He was livid with the team that the team did not play well. They didn't play according to his instruction. But I was a bit shocked because, in my honest opinion, I think they played pretty well. It was, the Barcelona of last season. Looks like, they are not stopping anytime soon. But, I mean, what do you make of Barca's first game against, Mallorca? 3-0, Lamine Yamal on the score sheet, Ferran Torres, Rafinha. It looks like these guys are not slowing down.
Well, first of all, it's practically the same team. Yes, one or two changes. Araujo came into the team, replacing Inigo Martinez. There was Eric Garcia on the right. And I think it's one of those, early season syndrome thing that we are used to. And for Barcelona, I'm not surprised with the result. I was expecting Barca to win. Maybe a little bit of competition from Mallorca, but remember they had 2 red cards in that game, and so that actually, went a long way in ensuring that Barcelona had it easy. When you look at the scoreline, it didn't really reflect what we saw in the early MS of the game, because it looks very competitive from the beginning before Barca got that first goal, and then we saw those 2 red cards, and then Barcelona went ahead and added 2 more goals. But that's what you expect from champions. That's what you expect from a team of the caliber of Barcelona. I was looking forward to seeing the likes of Rashford come into the team, and he got his opportunity to come off the bench. It was an okay performance from him. I think he will grow into this Barcelona side. When he came on as a centre forward. Lewandowski still out, and so I think that it's still the start of the season. But usually when the season starts, some teams hit the ground running, some teams start very slow. But what matters is that you get the 3 maximum points. So as it stands, they are top of the La Liga. Real Madrid are yet to play.
They'll take on Tuesday.
Yes, so we will see how that plays out. There were some other disappointing results from some of the teams. I'm sure we'll talk about.
We'll talk about it.
Yes, but overall, I think it's just the same Barcelona team that we saw last season, in my opinion. I think that Hansi Flick maybe was a bit upset because there are 1 or 2 things that he's tried to incorporate into this Barcelona side that he is not seeing. But from what we saw last season and what we saw over the weekend, I think that it's still the same Barcelona. They were able to get the results. They played the way we know Barcelona to play. And going forward, we might see them, pick up as the season progresses. So what matters is that Barca have got the 3 maximum points. Mallorca, yes, it was a home game for them, so definitely they will be disappointed starting the season without any points and then losing 2 players in the process that will be suspended for the next game. You don't want to start your season like that. So overall, I think it was an interesting start to the La Liga. We're still going to see Real Madrid play tomorrow, Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
Yes. And then we can start looking forward to the weekend's matches, and then that's where you start seeing the points build up and all of that. But overall, I think it was an interesting start.
Okay. Kofi, some believe that this Barcelona team would get better and better, albeit, Hansi Flick was very disappointed with the team. But first game, 3-0 against Mallorca, under normal circumstances, a difficult game on the road, but it looked like it wasn't so much of a difficult game for Barcelona. I mean, your take from what happened over the weekend in that La Liga game?
Well, the La Liga started on Friday. Friday, 2 games were played.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Girona lost at home to Rayo
Very,
Vallecano.
very, very surprising.
Girona, one of the wonderful teams in the La Liga 2 seasons ago, last season, were one of the teams that really scores a lot of goals, plays very well. Surprisingly, they had to lose at
The
home.
goalkeeper was terrible. The
Vallecano
game.
themselves, they were one of the teams that performed creditably well last season, and they put up a performance that was quite worthwhile. The other results that happened on Friday was the Villarreal against Real Oviedo.
It
Villarreal
was an easy
beating,
win for
yes, winning
Villarreal.
2-0 against Oviedo. And then Saturday we saw some games, like you said, Mallorca against Barcelona. For me, I think that some of the refereeing decisions that particularly
Yeah,
cropped
yeah,
up
yeah,
during that game were the ones that took a bit of center stage regards that particular game. Obviously, you would expect that Barcelona will beat Mallorca, but they tried to make life a bit difficult for themselves, especially in the second half, where you expected that Mallorca were down to 9 men, and Barcelona were just flooding the goals. You understand, but creditable performance over there. I think that Arojo coming in for Martinez.
Inigo Martinez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he put in a yeoman's performance. I do not think that teams like Mallorca are the ones that are going to give Barcelona that kind of resistance when it comes to they defending the championship or otherwise. I mean, one result that also surprised me a bit was the Valencia against Sociedad game.
Yeah.
That was also played on Saturday.
Saturday as
Ended up 1-1. Valencia, one of the poor teams in the La
Terrible
Liga.
team
Last
last
season,
season.
they battled a lot with
Yeah.
relegation. It was a good result for them because if you consider the fact that Sociedad were high flying in the La Liga last season, I think it was a good result for Valencia that they got that draw. But some of the results that shocked me yesterday, two results. Celta Vigo against Getafe.
Allowing Getafe to beat them at
Yes,
home.
yes, yes.
Especially
I
a
mean,
Getafe side that, like you said, you always say last season they were not so
yes, yes, yes,
good.
yes, yes, yes. So, I mean, so you look at the Celta Vigo and Getafe, that result shocked me a bit because Celta Vigo have always been very strong at home, and you'd expect that coming up against Getafe, who were not very good travelers last season, you expect that Celta Vigo would have gotten the results, but they ended up losing that game. And then Atletico Madrid, I don't know.
That's
I
where
mean,
probably I want to center the conversation. Atletico Madrid.
I don't know. I don't know. Because you see, we've had this conversation about Diego Simeone. Is he the right man for the job? Is he the man who is supposed to take Atletico Madrid to the next level? Yes, I mean, there have been pros in his favor. The pros and cons, people feel that the pros outweigh the cons in the sense that he's been able to supervise over a regime that has been competitive. They've been able to build a stadium, a world-class stadium. They are able to generate the kind of revenue because of his leadership. So people feel that, oh, okay, this is Diego Simeone. We are hugely indebted as Atletico Madrid to him. But for me, I feel that I think that on one of the shows that we did last week,
Yeah.
you mentioned the number of signings that they had made.
Yeah.
That in the context of the La Liga, they had about made the most signings,
Yeah.
high-profile signings.
Yeah.
But you look at all these players at the availability or at the disposal of.
They signed 8 players.
Yes, you look at all of these players and you want to think that Atletico Madrid scores the first goal. They allow Espanyol to equalize and then lose the game in the long term.
Yeah.
You want to think that, listen, Simeone, just like Jose Mourinho,
Yeah.
came to the limelight because of his ability to manage and organize teams defensively. At a point, there was the tag about him being an anti of anything
Football.
anything aesthetic. You understand? Because people felt that if you watch Atletico Madrid, they are just casting the mode of their manager. They do not like to play entertaining football. So he tried to shrug off that tag. They tried to do something exciting. They tried to do something very beautiful. Last season, I think that we saw snippets of what it is that Atletico Madrid wants to do in terms of being an attacking force. But it is quite strange that against Espanyol, you get a goal and then eventually lose a game to Espanyol. I mean, for me, it raises that age-old debate that is really Simeone the right man to lead Atletico Madrid to the next level? Because I honestly feel that some of the results that are coming in, one too many, and it does not bode well for the credibility of Diego Simeone. Yeah, we all know that he's been one of the few managers who has been able to break the resolve of both Real Madrid and Barcelona. But you look at some of these results, with Barcelona winning comfortably, you're already 3 points behind Barcelona. You want to catch them. You wanna really mount a serious title challenge. So for me, I think that teams like Atletico Madrid and their inconsistencies, it's probably the reason why teams like Real Madrid, teams like Barcelona are able to have the kind of jolly rides that they have in the La Liga when all is said and done. But happy for Athletic Bilbao also face the tough game against Sevilla.
You take a 2-0 lead.
Yes, I mean, yeah, but eventually they had to win the game. That's the most important thing. Put 3 points on the board, make sure that you start your season right. They had a wonderful season last season, and I think that getting the opportunity, Nico Williams scoring a penalty over there, getting the opportunity to get one over Sevilla, who are tough opponents. I think that they couldn't have started the season any better.
Kofi, and Sammy, for me, I think like Kofi went there. I think that I want us to center the conversation on Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone. And I've heard people talk about the fact that, oh, since Atletico Madrid since Diego Simeone came into the scene, he's made Atletico competitive. But the kind of money Atletico has spent on, or Diego Simeone has spent on Atletico, and the handlers of Atletico have invested into this team. It's not just about making the team competitive. You need to make the team competitive enough to be able to win the league. He's won the league in over 11 seasons, just 2 times, and he spent billions of euros on this team. I was a bit surprised why he didn't start Koke, in yesterday's game. Why he didn't start Ruggieri in yesterday's game. He chose to go for Gallagher in the midfield.
Cardoso.
And Cardoso. They were so porous in the midfield, very, very poor. Then in the second half, he decides to bring them. But for me, it's a problem. The man has lost touch with the reality on the ground. Like Kofi said, he rose to fame with a certain narrative that he's one of those managers that closes out games, very defensive minded in his approach to the game. Diego Simeone, when he came into the scene, wasn't those attacking, possession kind of managers. Very defensive, like Jose Mourinho, and it worked for him. So I keep asking, why is it that in the last 3-4 seasons he's totally changed? If you watch all his signings in the last 3 seasons, he's gone for very, very attacking minded players instead of strengthening both the defense and the midfield. That has worked very well for him. There were times he had Diego Godin and the likes. Koke is aging, Koke is done. Why don't you replace him? And if you look at what he's trying to do, he's trying to make this Atletico team play more flamboyantly, play more, exciting football in a way. But again, you are not that kind of manager. And it has not worked for him in the last 3-4 seasons. And it looks like it will not work for him this season as well, because yesterday they were very, very terrible, especially in the second half. And you see, I feel so sad for a player like Julian Alvarez. Brilliant player. Since he joined Atletico last season, he hit double 20 plus league goals last, even in his first season. This season he kicked off very well.
Outstanding free kick.
Outstanding free kick. You come from a team in your first 2 seasons, he won everything there is to win in club football. You are thinking that he's looking at, okay, this could be that stepping stone for me to become that world beater that everybody thinks I can be. But he walks into a team that because of whatever the manager is doing, might not allow this young chap to become the player that we expect him to be. He might just become another, João Felix, exciting talent, but because of the system he plays in, by the time he leaves Atletico, he will just be one of those players that is being tossed around. Because honestly speaking, I do not think that Diego Simeone should still be handling Atletico Madrid. Because what is there to prove again? More than 11 seasons at Atletico, 2 league titles. There's very little to show for it. You don't spend 11 years and beyond. We're talking about, Arteta spending 7 seasons at Arsenal, not winning anything. We're calling for his head. There are certain managers or certain clubs, if you spend a certain period there and a certain amount of money and you don't deliver, you leave. I don't know the kind of love relationship that is between the handlers of Atletico and Diego Simeone. Maybe they feel that, listen, this is a guy who brought us into the limelight, has given us a lot of mileage, a lot of money in terms of how he's conducted himself. But no, eventually it boils down to success, it boils down to trophies. And Diego Simeone has not delivered that. If yesterday's result, some may say that, oh, it's first game and all of that. As I feel that Diego Simeone should not handle Atletico, right? But I think when we're previewing the La Liga, it's something that came up. Does yesterday confirm that narrative?
Well, I think he's overstayed at Atletico, and we've talked about this time and time again. First of all, we need to understand what exactly the target is
for
Atletico Madrid. Every club and what their target is for the season, what they are okay with for the season. Is it just about not making losses and balancing their books and doing their business, being able to pay their wages and all of that? Or are they going that extra mile to look at winning trophies? Yes, winning trophies is one way of making money, but the business aspect of the game can even make you more money than the trophies you win.
True.
So when you look at the value of the Champions League and the amount of money some of the Premier League teams are spending, it is nowhere close. So you need to look at what the hierarchy at Atletico are looking at. Are they just running the club from the business aspect? Is it because the fact that the competition in the La Liga is not so much so that Atletico always find themselves in Champions League positions?
They are comfortable with that.
They're comfortable with that. Maybe if there was that competition where there's always that one odd club or two odd clubs that can always, fight for places for Champions Leagues, and you can talk about a constant top 6 or top
That's what
7.
we have in the EPL.
Yes, where you know that if you don't raise your game to a certain level, you can miss out on Champions League positions. Maybe that would have been extra motivation, but people relax when things are easy for them. And I think that if the Atletico hierarchy are that serious, they need to be looking beyond someone like Diego Simeone. There are some managers that will take it to a certain point, but we should understand that at some point, every institution needs a breath of fresh air. When a new leader comes in with new ideas, with new systems, with new energies, even with the same players, you can get different results. But what we are seeing from Atletico is more like it's about loyalty. 1, 2, you've had instances like in the eras of Sir Alex and those brilliant coaches where they stay for a very long time, and whilst they has been there for quite a while, but I don't think he's delivered as much as he's supposed to.
That's true.
Or as much as he can.
That's true.
That's why I started with the premise that I don't know what the target for Atletico is, because I think that they have accepted that we are the third wheel in the La Liga. That they are actually
as long as
delivering
we
success.
Always
But
making
here is the
the
case
Champions
behind
League.
Real Madrid and
Simeone-
Barcelona, and we are making a Champions League. That's good enough for us. If Atletico actually want to be challenging for trophies in Spain, like winning the La Liga, always being in that conversation, yes, they are there, but they are there not in a competitive manner. I don't see it as competition because they are always that third wheel. Maybe they are second 1 or 2 odd years. They are first maybe in 10 years. But constantly that third position has been theirs. So I just think that it's about what the hierarchy wants. If they feel like they want to challenge Real Madrid and Barcelona, which I think that they can. Reason being that we've seen what they've done in the transfer market. We've seen the squad that they have over the weekend. They brought on Solot,
They brought
they brought on
Raspadori,
Raspadori, they brought on
Togri
Kuki,
as well.
Togi, and then they brought on Antoine Griezmann.
Antoine Griezmann.
That isn't a bad bench. Yes, we know Griezmann is aging, Koke is aging, but these are players that come with a lot of experience. And with all the signings that they have made, it tells you that yes, they can actually be competitive in the transfer market in the La Liga. So I think that what they need now is probably fresh ideas. The players they have are not bad players. They need fresh ideas. They need new leadership. If you have a coach that has been doing the same thing over and over again, at some point you need. It's not because he's a bad coach, but sometimes you just need renewed energy. You need fresh energy. You need a new, like what United have done. It's a new environment, new training ground. And we heard about Amorim talking about the fact that now he's closer to the staff because he sees them more often. Some of these things actually help. So if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, I don't see Atletico doing anything different from we've seen them doing. We've seen them do in the course of previous seasons. If at the end of this season is still the same, I would feel that Atletico need that change. They bring in a new manager with new ideas. It could be the same players. They could add one or two additions. They could take away some few players, and then they have renewed energy. One thing that is that constant difference between Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico has to do with that managerial change. Real Madrid, Barcelona always want to maintain that high standard. They always want to be up there. And so even when they win trophies, sometimes you see that the manager moves on. Atletico Madrid have been doing the same thing, playing third fiddle time and time again, but they've had the same manager. So it tells you that now we are in an era where that longevity in terms of coaching and managing is no longer something that we are seeing. One of the longest serving managers now in world football has to be Pep Guardiola. How ironic. Pep Guardiola, one of the longest serving managers at a particular club. In the Premier League, he's the longest serving manager in the Premier League. And so you look at Arteta. So sometimes I feel that the way the game has evolved, you always need to make changes. Not necessarily firing the coach, but there are certain changes that can be done behind the scenes, maybe the kind of signings. But again, to a very large extent, I think that in the case of Atletico Madrid, the coach has to understand that, look, I'm done. There's not much he can do to make any changes to this Atletico side. Look, Simeone can leave Atletico Madrid, go to a different team, and actually do better than what Atletico are doing now. So the relationship, sometimes you have this particular girl that you've been with for some time, but it's like it's not working again. Nobody has done anything wrong, but it's just not working. You need a new challenge.
Kofi, I mean, before we wrap up on this, La Liga and Atletico Madrid conversation, Sammy believes that at some point, Atletico should call up, press the brakes, press that button, call up that kind of relationship they have with Simeone, because clearly, what can he prove again? What can he done? What can he do again? This season he spent over 170 million euros. Barcelona have not even spent 20.
No, because you don't have money. That's the point.
Real Madrid have not even spent 50.
No, you don't have money. You don't have money.
So,
don't mention Barcelona in this conversation.
Well, but I don't know if you get the drift. But the point is, if Real Madrid do have the money, haven't we spent up to 60-70 million euros? But Atletico have spent in excess of 170 million euros, and this man is still failing to deliver results. Again, it's not so much about.
You see, the difference is that Madrid have brought in a new coach.
Exactly. So should they call off the brakes?
No, maybe Sammy said something quite poignant. I mean, I think that he probably didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but he mentioned the fact that maybe Atletico are looking at the business and of what it is that Simeone being coach offers them financially.
What about the fans?
Well,
The guys who are buying the tickets, who are
no,
buying the
no.
replica
At,
jerseys,
at
they
the
want
at
trophies,
the end
they
of the
want
day,
results.
at the end of the day, sorry, it's about what you want to achieve as a club. You understand? The people at the top, the people in the boardroom, they are the people determine the direction the club ought to go.
And the fans know that.
You know, I'll give you a
Yeah.
typical example. United is where they are now in terms of the changes. It's primarily because of the fans. If the fans had not been loud,
No, I
if
don't
the
think.
fans,
No, I don't
especially
think.
with the Glazers out,
Well, I don't
the
think it's
Glazers out. If the fans had not called for
No, I
the
don't
Glazers to
think it's
go
that.
out,
No, I don't
I
think.
can bet you that the Glazers will still be there, and the sporting things we are seeing or we saw with United in the last 5 years before this year will still be there. But we saw fans calling for the head of the Glazers. We need them out. We need them
No, but
out.
the Glazers
No, they are there.
No, in
They
terms
are
of
there.
the money, the sporting aspect of it, if it was not the fans being loud, a lot of people,
Well,
social media, even in the
no,
stadium,
no,
they
hold
felt
on,
that,
hold
listen,
on, hold on,
come
hold
on,
on,
at
hold
some
on,
point, let's
hold
give
on,
in to
hold
the
on,
fans.
hold on,
And
hold
right
on.
now, we are seeing
Hold
breath
on,
of fresh air.
hold on.
We are seeing some new
Hold on,
things.
hold on,
Why
hold on.
can't the fans support this?
I think that's a wrong example
Absolutely.
because you see, just a quick digression with the issue about Manchester United and the Glazers. Yes, you can cite a lot of things against the Glazers that they were not running the football end fine. But you see, if you look at the monies that the Glazers have spent on players,
Would they still be handling the sporting aspect of United if the fans had not called that, no, listen, it's time you guys let go of that aspect? Because as they allowed their shares
well,
to be sold.
not to digress, but I think that you look at the issues surrounding Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico Madrid are holding on to Simeone because of fear of the unknown. You know, sometimes you really don't know what you have until you lose it. So in their minds, they are thinking that, oh, okay, this is somebody we have been with over a decade. Will we be able to bring somebody one of his caliber and quality, and will he understand the direction the club wants to go?
But you can
You
also say
understand?
that you don't know what you're missing until you let go.
Yeah,
of what you
that's
have.
football work
Yeah,
with the fear of the unknown.
no, you can't. Yes, football works in the fear of
Really?
with the fear of the.
Managers get
Yes, I
that.
think that. No, I think that you make a fantastic point. But
Blackie met his wife after leaving his former job.
You
So
met
he
your wife
realized what
after
he was
leaving.
missing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Why is Kobe smiling?
I mean, he knows the story.
well, I think that that's a powerful example. You understand? So I honestly think that Atletico needs to be bold about this particular Simeone conundrum.
Do you think he should go?
Well, I think
And
candidly
Yes,
that he ought to be fired.
he ought to be fired.
I think that he's overstayed his welcome, because you look at the monies available to him, you look at the output. I think Atletico Madrid should have won the league in the La Liga last season.
So
Well, Lucky, hold on. Just maybe the fans also understand. You made the example of United. United are used to being at a certain level. Maybe the Atletico fans also understand
they're
where
used
the
to
club is.
mediocrity,
Yeah, where
They are okay
no,
with it.
maybe they understand where they used to be, where he's taking them.
and
See,
now they are okay with.
every club and then what
The
their
standards are,
reason
yeah.
for establishing the club is or where their level is. Amorim in his press conference last week talked about Sporting, and he mentioned the Gokeres transfer and the fact that Sporting is a club that runs on buying and selling. So they get players, they sell players for big money, and they use it to run the club and balance their books.
Atletico has
So
not been known for buying and selling.
just maybe that's their level. That's where they are. That's what they are
They are
okay,
okay
with.
with it.
Because if you are a top team in the Premier League, let's say Chelsea,
Yeah.
and then Atletico are the third force in the La Liga. Now you don't even know who is the third force in the Premier
That's
League
the point.
because
It-
it is that
That's the
balance.
point.
Because
That's the point.
Chelsea will not tolerate
So
mediocrity.
Atletico are comfortable.
United, we know, albeit their issues, will not tolerate mediocrity. A City will not tolerate
Don't
mediocrity.
mention us now.
Oh,
That's not another that conversation.
Don't
even
mention us now.
Spurs, even Spurs will not tolerate mediocrity. Jose Mourinho came, he got them to a final. They fired him.
Conte came.
Conte came.
Yeah.
They let him go. Nuno Espirito Santos came. They fired him. Even Spurs is not tolerating. Spurs, who are nothing in the context of the EPL, do not tolerate mediocrity. Come on, I think Atletico can do better. Anyway, listeners, what do you make of? I mean, the guys have shared some solid and brilliant points. Do you think that Atletico should let go of Diego Simeone. It's
Maybe
high
if
time they call the
if
brakes on
they
him.
finished out of the top 5
they will let
or
him
top
go.
4
They'll
in
trigger
the La
them
Liga,
into making a decision.
that might trigger them into making a decision. As it stands now, I think the long and short of everything is they are comfortable.
Yeah.
The competition for
Not too keen.
Champions League places is not so difficult for them in the La Liga. So every season they find themselves there. If they were struggling to make that top 4, top 5 in the or Champions League places, then they
they
might
could-
start revising their book. So they are okay with it. They play in the Champions League every season. They finish second, third in the La Liga. They are making whatever money that they need to make. They are not owing anybody. They are balancing their books. They are fine with it.
Anyway, let's dovetail into, the Premier League. That's where all the action has been this weekend. It started off on Friday, and it was an exciting game between Liverpool and, Bournemouth. Liverpool, at the end, winning comfortably, even though it was not so, comfortable at the end of the day, but they won 4-2 on Saturday. Manchester City defeating Wolves by 3-0. On Sunday, the big one, Arsenal defeated Manchester United by a 0-0. We'll get to spend some time talking about the Arsenal game, the Chelsea game. But Kofi, Liverpool, they kicked off their title defense, in, for me, an exciting fashion. Yes, you scored 2, but we'll beat you by 4-2. Liverpool defeating Bournemouth.
Well, that was expected. On this show, I've made my
Your candid opinion. No.
yeah. I don't think Slot is a good coach, and
What did he do on Friday that makes you
I don't.
think he's a good
Well,
man?
I don't think he's a good coach. He made some basic errors, coaching wise.
Yeah.
The substitutions.
Yes, the substitutions were the reason why
Is it not down
Liverpool.
to
No.
the squad
No,
in
no,
there?
no,
Because
no, no.
It looks like take away
No,
Gravity.
no.
Should they have
Don't have
been
a proper
fitness
DM.
of the players?
Exactly.
No.
Is the start of the
No.
The team.
No,
It's not
no,
Endo,
no,
and they
no,
didn't win.
At some point, he took off
The
both
fullbacks.
I
That was
can
what.
understand.
What do you understand?
You see, he's looking at some point in that game, they were 2-0 up. I take off my fullbacks in Jeremy Frimpong. I take on Kekis. Kekis was on a yellow card.
What time of the game?
Yeah,
Look at
Keke was
the
on
time,
a
the
yellow
time of the
card.
game.
Then, if you looked at the pressure that was coming, there was a tendency that this guy might take a red card. Let me bring on Robinson. Robinson is not new to the league. I think the mistake was, the Endo part of, that substitution that created a lot of. But I don't think it's Liverpool. Eventually,
Well,
they found a way to win now.
well, you see, the league is designed in such a way that you cannot get away with so many of these. Liverpool had the lucky results against Bournemouth.
Oh.
They had the lucky results. They did not deserve to win because they did not play to win. One, the Liverpool team now needs to sort out the defense. They absolutely need to sort out their defense. And you see, I've always held this notion that the best defenses win you the biggest trophies because the Liverpool defending now is calamitous. Who is the leader at the back?
Bishop Van Dijk.
Oh, come on. It's in the game against Bournemouth. I mean, all over the place. There is no leader at the back for Liverpool.
Where was he going?
Defensively, I don't know where he was going. I mean, maybe he was coming to tell Samir a word. You understand?
No, I don't know why he shies away from making.
going.
But
I've told you his style of.
no, that has always been Van Dijk.
Yes,
but
that's
but
always
you
been-
see, credits to Bournemouth. I think they played a good game, even when they were 2 goals down. They did not relent.
Yeah.
They played a solid game. In the end, I think that the emotional nature of the whole game took over, and Chiesa getting the 3rd goal, eventually Salah hitting the 4th goal with his right foot. I think the whole thing around Thiago Jota and the environment and the kind of,
and all of that.
I mean, but Liverpool were very lucky to get that result
Why
over the
do you say
weekend.
so? Why do you say
No,
so?
because even if you looked at the Chiesa goal, it was against the round of play.
Yeah.
The round of play, sorry. Bournemouth were dominant and they took the fights to Liverpool. Maybe the mistake that Bournemouth thought or did was that they thought they could win at Anfield. Maybe at 2-2 they should just have
But they
stayed back.
beat them home and away last season.
No,
So
but maybe
you go into a game, a team that you beat twice.
maybe at 2-2 they should have put taking their feet off the pedals. You understand? Breeze through the rest of the games, because you looked at the Chiesa goal, you looked at the circumstances surrounding the Chiesa goal, how the goal came about. It was because Bournemouth were constantly on the front foot. You understand? But for me, it served up a beautiful game for the neutrals, but it also showed the frailties in Liverpool's game. Defensively, they are not sound. I do not think that they are the best defensive team. It would also mean that this is an era where Liverpool need to outscore opponents to win games. And yes, Ekitike got that goal over there. There's some of the other guys. I mean, the Dutch boy, Gapo, sorry, got another goal in there. Chiesa, the forgotten man, got another goal. Salah, continuing his record of scoring on the opening day of the league. But for me, it was not a convincing performance. It was a performance that was littered with a lot of luck. Rode their luck, got the 3 points over. They maybe the spirits of Thiago Jota was able to take them over the line eventually.
But Sabi, you know one thing. For once, I want to share in Kofi's sentiment and take on Liverpool. I think that honestly speaking, I wasn't impressed because there was not a single point in the game that Bournemouth looked shaking. Even when they went 2-0 down, they could still take the game to Liverpool. They were still, attacking at will. And for me, you cannot walk to Anfield, one of the most dreaded grounds in, club football, and play that kind of confident football. That should tell you that this Liverpool team is not as scary as people may want us to believe. There are cracks in this team. And like Kofi said, their defense is terrible. One, they brought in Jeremy Frimpong, but he's not the best of defenders. Attacking wise, he's very brilliant. He's not the best of defenders. Kekes has his issues. The partnership between Konate and Van Dijk, yes, it worked for them at some point, but I don't think Van Dijk is a good defender. I don't know why people rate him. Honestly speaking, I don't know why people rate him. What about his defending makes you want to put him in the category of great defenders? Because for me, if you're mentioning the likes of Vidic, Rio Ferdinand, I even want to center it in the Premier League. I don't want to even go outside. Vidic, Rio Ferdinand, Cavallo, John Terry, even just these four. I don't think that Van Dijk deserves a place in this four. Because yes, he's good with the ball at his feet. His passing is one of the most beautiful you can see around. But I'm not buying a defender for his passing. It's like you telling me that he's a ball-playing goalkeeper. I don't buy a defender for his passing. I buy a defender so that he will go into those tackles fearlessly. He will push players. He would defend. And over the years, you've seen Virgil van Dijk, like you guys all agree, run or shy away from defending because apparently his style of defending is that he defends in spaces. He doesn't do those man marking
So
or
he
those,
forces you to make a
he
decision.
forces you to make a decision, either go left or go right to a place where you cannot hurt the team. But that's for me, that's shallow. Because it was evident on the day, like Kofi said, if it was against a United team, an Arsenal team, they clawed their way back 2-2, and the way they were playing, Bournemouth were playing, they wouldn't have lost that game. And so, as good as their attack is, the movement in Liverpool's attack will scare a lot of teams. If you watch Ekitike, he hardly, is that kind of stagnant player. He's always constantly on the move. Gapo, they were interchanging at will. It's exciting. Florian Wirtz's ability to play in those tight spaces is exciting. But eventually, like Kofi has said and says again, defense wins you the biggest of titles. And maybe I didn't agree with Kofi when he said Slot, was lucky last season, got away with it because of the competition. But I'm looking at the way teams have strengthened this season. He will not get away with certain things because, honestly speaking, Liverpool got away with that performance, on Friday.
Well, I agree. I think the results wasn't a true reflection of the game, of what we watched. Because when you see 4-2, you think that, yes, Liverpool actually battered Bournemouth. But it wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I think Bournemouth had a good game. They didn't start well, but they gave a good account of themselves. I was expecting Liverpool to win very comfortably, but those two late goals, I think, has to do with game management from
The Bournemouth, Oliver
Andoni.
Glasner.
I always confuse the Bournemouth coach with
The Crystal Palace manager.
the Crystal Palace one. Oliver Glasner, that's the Bournemouth management. Either Glasner or Andoni Iraola, one of them. They always confuse
now
me.
you're confusing me.
Glasner is
a
actually-
Crystal
It's
Palace.
Yeah.
So I think
Iraola
it's Iraola, yes,
Andoni Iraola, yes.
Yeah.
Let me just confirm that.
Yeah.
No, but that's it.
Glasner is Crystal Palace. Yeah.
Glasner is
Yes.
Crystal Palace. They have
Yes,
very,
exactly.
yeah.
Andoni Iraola,
Yeah.
that's the Bournemouth coach. That's the one that was in mind. But they always confuse me. But again, I think it was in-game management that cost Bournemouth, because when you claw back from 2 goals down away from home, and then you're able to equalize 2-2, and what a brilliant goal, Antoine Semenyo. I think that they just needed to see the game out. You can choose to defend and play on the counter attack, but I don't think it was wise for them to think that they could as well have gone on to get the winner.
They beat them last season at Anfield.
No, they didn't. I think that they saw how the game was going. They felt like Liverpool were there for the taking, and they could actually match Liverpool and get something
Is that
from
a
that
wrong
game.
thing to
It's
do?
not wrong,
Okay.
but that's why I'm talking about in-game management. Sometimes, in as much as you see that it is there for the taking, this isn't a cup game. It is 3 points. You are on the road, first game of the season. Nobody expects you to get 3 maximum points.
Yeah.
You are drawing 2-2 at Anfield with a few minutes to go, or let's say about 10 minutes to go. You need to manage the game. Manage the game, and then, try and make your own chances in terms of the set pieces, in terms of slowing down the tempo of the game, in terms of counter attacks, because you have pacey players like Semenyo, for example. The goal that he scored, it came from a Liverpool corner kick, or a Liverpool set piece, something like that. So you ride your luck on some of these things, but I'm sure they would have learned their lessons. Bournemouth, I wasn't expecting to get anything from that game, because they themselves haven't had a very good preseason, and so with how well they performed, I was actually surprised. I think that Semenyo's goal, if you're a neutral, it looks like a very, very good goal, but if you are looking at it from a tactical point of view or a defensive point of view, I think Liverpool were very, very poor. It's a very silly goal to concede, because he carried the ball quite a distance. Now, between Van Dijk and Konate, it was about one person making the decision whether they had to communicate who is going in for the tackle. Because look, 4 and 5, both of you are backing up. Semenyo keeps, he had options to go left or right, but he saw that the space was right in front of him, because
And they forgot that
Van Dijk-
he's very ambidextrous. We
left and right.
Yes.
Van Dijk kept backing up. Konate, he had his eye on whoever was on his shoulder, and so nobody took that initiative to go in for the tackle, because if one person did, the other one, there was still space for the other one to cover. So I don't know what the communication was like, and so when you have Semenyo, having players out wide of him, and then one in front of him or two in front of him, and then those in front of him keep backing up, then you give him more space or more room to take the shot. So maybe they were actually forcing him to take the shot. As we said, Van Dijk would force you to make a decision. And so either he forces you out wide or left or right.
He forced
He forced him to make a decision, and it was a bad decision from Van Dijk. As a defender, your core responsibility is to go in for tackles. It's about timing. Yes, you could decide to go in for the tackle, and then he could beat you with a quick feet or something like that. But that's why you have to get your timing right. Yeah. If it was, say, a 1v1 or a 2v1, then it would be silly to go in for the tackle. You have to defend in spaces. But he had Konate right there.
Yeah.
So somebody needed to go in for that tackle. And then maybe someone else could do the mopping up. I think it's something that they would have to look at, and then they'll have to work on. Because, look, Liverpool considered a very, very poor goal. But from the other perspective, I think Semenyo did really, really well. Getting 2 goals in that game, it was brilliant. And for those that had Semenyo on their FPL in their FPL team, good for them. Yes, we'll be putting out our FPL link,
Yeah, very,
so
very
you
soon.
can join the Sports 101 link on Fantasy Football League. Yes, are you there? You're not there.
No, I'm not there.
I am there.
But yeah, Kofi. I mean, what's the fuss about Chelsea? Because myself and Sammy, we had Chelsea making the top 2. Sammy predicted the Chelsea are winning it, right?
Yeah, but again, we also predicted that Chelsea would not beat Crystal Palace.
Yeah. But what's the fuss about that? It's not about them beating Crystal Palace, because I think we've said this, that Crystal Palace are one of the tough customers in the league, and this season, if they are able to hold on to Eberechi Eze, they will still be one of. But Kofi, you do not see the fuss about Chelsea, and it looks like yesterday they proved you right. It was an uninspiring performance, very lethargic. There was nothing for you to say, okay, this is what Sami saw. That's why he predicted Chelsea is winning the league.
Well, I don't think Chelsea can win the league. He do not win the league with João Pedro and Delap.
Yeah.
Nah, you don't. You
It's
don't.
David,
No, you
Andre
don't.
Santos.
No. Those are disco dances. I mean, when I watched Esteban
Estevayo, yeah.
and Santos, I watched them.
Why did Chelsea
I
play
mean,
that about
I don't know why Brazil is producing these kind of players today, but those are not.
But they're
those,
exciting players.
those are
I
not.
think they're exciting.
Those are not
Sammy,
proper
Sammy,
Brazilians.
Sammy.
Those are not proper
I'll
Brazilians.
pick
I mean,
Ahmad
we
They're actually young players. Esteban is a very young
very young players, but
he has a lot of improvement.
Onyado,
but
very direct. I like how direct he is.
Onyado.
yeah, but you see, I don't know what you guys saw when you made those Chelsea predictions, but I feel that Chelsea do not have enough creativity in their ranks.
Yeah.
Yesterday's game showed one thing, that if you're able to completely mark out Kopama,
Yeah.
then you are going to have Chelsea in a big hole. Because if you look through the middle, they have a lot of hardworking boys.
Yeah.
You understand? I mean,
Very little end product.
exactly. Hardworking boys, Caicedo, there's Enzo Fernandez,
John Neves running all the time, but very little production.
So I think that Chelsea still, and then we saw Gittins. You understand? I don't know the decision that Chelsea had to go through to make those purchases, but I feel that Chelsea do not. If you compare Chelsea to some of the people they would rival to win the league,
Yeah.
I think that they lack firepower.
Yeah.
And they do not have enough creativity down their ranks. Because, I mean, come on, against Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge, Crystal Palace were the better team.
True.
They were the better team. One thing also that people are not realizing is that I think that Chelsea are an injury away from disaster in their central defense.
Who is that? But they do have a couple of very good defenders.
No, they have
Chalobah,
no. All those names. No. You see, Cowell is injured. He has an ACL tear.
Oh, that's true.
You understand? I mean, Cowell is injured. That's an ACL tear. Could be out for 7-8 months. So it's an issue. It's a big issue. He looks their most dependable central defender.
Yeah.
But I think that all of these names, Disasi, Chaloba, educational purposes. So, like we always say, you understand. But there is nothing a wow factor about this.
Maybe
Chelsea
you are
team.
not seeing it. Sammy probably saw it. That's why he
that
predicted
is
Chelsea
why
winning the league.
I get this worried when people carry along that tag about being world champions. I mean, come on. If we needed one team to represent Earth, it had to be this Chelsea team. If we needed one team to play against people from Pluto, Mars, Mercury, it had to be this Chelsea team, the one we watched yesterday.
What would the aliens do to them?
Come on. We don't need to look beyond the aliens. We need to look at Crystal Palace. Well, I think that's some necessary tack from a preseason friend.
Are they not the world champions?
Come on. I mean,
They beat the
I
best team in Europe
I think that
to
Chelsea,
win that title.
you know, it's easy having one-off finals and then getting results. But like I said with Slot, I have issues with Maresca. I think that he's one of the biggest problems of Chelsea. I don't think that he's too good a coach.
To handle this team.
And
Isn't
I
it
don't
a
think
problem with the materials at his disposal?
No, but Chelsea have bought.
It's not about buying.
No,
It's not about
who is
buying.
informing them about some of the purchases that they have made? All those Gittins deserves to be playing for Swansea City.
No, because
not Chelsea.
the players that even came in, you see, if you are making substitutions, look at City. I watch City, they can afford to put Mamouche on the bench. They can afford to put Cheki on the bench. And when they come in, they are impact substitutions. So, Kofi and Andre Santos came in. Honestly, this player will not start in any team, any top team in the world. Esteban will not start in any top team in the world. Name one top team in the Premier League that Esteban will start.
No,
at.
not him.
But he, as
No,
I
you
said,
get me.
he
Who will Esteban on seat at Manchester
I don't
United?
think he was
Not
brought
him.
into Chelsea to make any big impact this season. He's a young player. He just came in from Brazil.
But
He's
he's
18
starting
years old,
games.
and he's gradually
No, he
being
came from the bench,
integrated
actually,
into
yeah.
the team. He came off the bench together with Andre Santos. I think that Chelsea, yes, that number 10 role, for example,
Yeah.
Cole Palmer was eliminated, and that's what affected Chelsea because at some point they had to be going left and right,
Yeah.
trying to go through the wings, and at some point it
game
was
was
about
boring
crosses
to
and
watch,
crosses.
yeah.
Chelsea barely created any chances in that game.
Aguayi, solid player.
Yes, I'm struggling to see
Solid player.
to remember any proper save or Henderson made
Yeah.
in that game. So maybe that's the reason why Chelsea are looking to bring in another creative kind of player in Garnacho. for
And
example,
also,
because-
Xavi Simons.
Yes.
Yes.
Because look, in that midfield area, Chelsea actually need creativity. There's Madueke is gone. Raheem
No,
Sterling.
he had it. Madueke is not good. We'll
But-
talk about it. We'll talk about it.
No, he would have been he would have been an option for them.
Oh yes, I agree.
Raheem Sterling is gone. These would have been options off the bench. Esteban came on. It
This
could have
could
been
answer.
Madueke who would have
This
come
could
on
answer.
for Chelsea. So when Pedro Neto is not there, then who comes in?
What did you see?
I am not really. I haven't really seen the best of him.
But what did you see in Chelsea for you to make those bold predictions? Kofi really was. What did you see in Chelsea for you to make those bold predictions?
Didn't you make the same predictions? I think that from the team that we saw in the Club World Cup,
Yeah.
I feel Maresca knows how he wants to play. It's about getting that telepathy together. I think the boys themselves have a certain kind of relationship. Chelsea is not that team full of superstars.
Yeah.
They don't have those big names that some of the other teams might have. They don't have a Mohamed Salah. They don't have an Erling Haaland. But together, when they play, you can see that they can actually make something happen. Irrespective of what you want to say about Chelsea, they are a very, very difficult team to beat. Very difficult team to beat. And so, if Chelsea can get one or two decent signings in, especially in creative areas, I think Chelsea is good to go. Look, that game against Palace, yes, I was disappointed with how the game went for Chelsea because Palace did a very good job, isolating Chelsea's biggest threat, which is Cole Palmer. It's up to the manager to have other options in terms of creativity because you cannot depend on just Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
That's the reason why Chelsea had a hard time going through the middle because that middle was blocked. So you always had to go through Pedro Neto or Estevao who came on and was playing on the right, or Gittins on the other side.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. So João Pedro had a hard time because he wasn't really getting a lot of supply. So Chelsea had to resort to, crossing the ball and all of that. At some point we saw Cucurella move infield, trying to make something happen. So look, if Chelsea can find that balance and then get the team ticking, have other options where they can easily switch whatever system that they are playing to suit the circumstances of the game, I think that Chelsea have a good team to go.
Kofi, I mean, before we talk about the United and Arsenal game, can we spend just about 2 minutes talking about, Cole Palmer and Sammy went there. You guys want us to agree that he's Chelsea's biggest strength. But this is a guy, after his first season for Chelsea, this will be his third season at Chelsea. His first season was brilliant, his numbers was crazy. His second season, not so good. And this season, he's not started well. This is a player since January, he's not scored from open play. Since January, we're looking at 8 months, he's not scored from open play. I'm talking about the Premier League.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Premier League. He's a number 10 and he's noted for scoring since January. And yet, everybody wants us to believe that this is the guy, he's the ace for Chelsea. But Kofi, is it high time we started looking at he's not as good as we were made to believe, and that he had just one good season and he's come back to his true level?
Well, I do not agree with that school of thought which seeks to suggest Cole Palmer is not a good player. Hold on.
He's not as good as they want us to be. Like, he belongs even in the conversation of the Ballon d'Or.
Hold on. When I see a good player, I see one. And I think Cole Palmer deserves to be in that bracket. The issue with some of these creative players sometimes has to do a lot with the planning around the whole of the team.
Okay.
You understand? I mean, oftentimes we've spoken about Odegaard. We've spoken about Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
We've spoken about all these players. We've spoken about the systems that they've played in.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about the fact that sometimes with some of these creative players, you need to plan with them at the being at the center of everything that you want to do with the team.
That's not been done at Chelsea.
Well, from what I saw yesterday, I do not think, because I think that the whole Cole Palmer thing was cracked when Pochettino realized that he had to play through him. You understand? And then we started seeing more of Cole Palmer. Last season we saw a bit of Cole Palmer, but you see, with all of these variations Chelsea do have, I do not think that they give him the ball too much. Because I watched the game yesterday. Gittins has almost the same number of touches as Cole Palmer would. But if you go to other teams, you realize that they make everything go through the number 10. So he is the guy who is the lead facilitator. Distributes when he feels his sense of judgment is right. But I think that with the Palmer situation also, it also highlights one thing that a lot of people do not pay attention to. I mean, listen, this guy is young. He's 22, 23. Yes, in football today, we would expect that 22, 23, you would have reached a certain level of peakness. You understand? But sometimes I feel that the role you play and the weight of expectation on your shoulder, if you do not have the whole team moving in alignment with you, it could come back to haunt you. And that is what I think is happening to Cole Palmer at Chelsea. He's an extremely talented player, but I feel that he's not at the center of everything that Chelsea wants to do going forward. And that for me is a big issue. You understand? And one other thing, Chelsea will not survive in the league with what's the name of that guy? The number 9.
They have João Pedro.
No, it's not Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro.
Yeah.
He will not.
But the lap wears the number 9 jersey.
Yes, I mean, but I'm talking about
They are leading
they are leading.
João Pedro.
He will not survive in the league with João Pedro as the number 9.
Because at Brighton, he scored just 10 goals with 5 of them coming from this. What was the first?
This guy is just like Zegzi. He's a 9.5. He's not really a number 9. And with the kind of football that Chelsea wants to play, you need a proper arrowhead. And if Chelsea are banging all of their hopes, because you went to a friendly tournament, the guy scored some goal in some preseason friendly tournaments, you think that all of a sudden he's arrived. We will have the lab conversation.
Maybe
later.
Maresca is in a position where he has to choose between either playing both Palmer and Pedro or starting one of them in the number 10 role. And he cannot afford to have Cole Palmer on the bench.
Okay.
So he's forced to play
so
Pedro
if you
as
cannot have Cole Palmer on the bench, Cole Palmer is he is good enough to play on the wings.
Exactly.
No, because I mean, sitting here, maybe early days, What was the sense in signing Gittins? Swansea level. There's nothing
what does
about
it bring
him.
to
I
the
mean,
team? What does it bring to?
I don't know, but on the evidence, come on, Gittins.
Interesting.
Neto is a big problem we do not talk about.
Yeah.
Because Neto has not scored double digits in 5 years in the EPL.
So much running, very little output.
He's always running on the TV. You understand? Whenever you see him on the TV, he's running. So I think that the whole Chelsea attack, it really needs to be looked at.
Anyway, one attack that yesterday did not really hit the mark running or hit the ground running is the Manchester United attack. But we are meant to believe that yesterday was a very, very improved performance. And as they said, we're the better team on the day. But the better team did not win yesterday as Arsenal beat Manchester United, by a goal to via, a Calafiori header. Very routine corner kick from Arsenal again. They've kicked off from where they left off last season. 30 goals from set pieces, especially from the corner kick. But Sammy, let's talk about the big game yesterday. Manchester United, Arsenal. Let's start the conversation, the United team. I mean, what do you make of United as a team yesterday?
I think United fans should be excited because this is the first time in a very long time that Man United have played in a certain way. Now, when you look at how United set up, a lot of fans, a lot of people were not really, excited about the lineup that United put out there. But again, when you look at how United lined up, I think it has to do with decision making in the transfer market. This is the reason why most of the time teams try to do their businesses very early. Because if United had brought in Sesko, maybe a week earlier, he would have started that game. Maybe if United have done one or two other things in terms of midfield signings, the team would have been balanced. Last week, we mentioned that Arsenal is a much more balanced team than Man United going into that fixture. Because we talked about the United midfield. We talked about the goalkeeping area. We talked about whether or not Sesko was going to start. But I think these things are issues that can be solved. Once you know and you can identify what the problem is, then these are areas that can be solved. The general issue has to do with how United played, which, trust me, I was excited. I think United took the game to Arsenal. United played with a lot of confidence. This is something that we haven't really seen.
You sure?
Oh, yes. It's the first time in a long time United had that much attempts on goal. 22 attempts on goal.
And that is something worth talking about.
Exactly, because this is Manchester United we are talking about. We are comparing United to United. So the United that we saw last season, and then this being the first game of the season, another encouraging factor has to do with the signings that United brought in. Mbeumo, Cunha, they came in, and you cannot tell me that you didn't see
Cunha,
their impact.
Cunha was Cunha. I mean, when he has his back turn and he turns, that
exactly.
one, he's gone. He's
I think that
you can't catch him. That's Cunha.
That is something that the United fans can look forward to seeing more of this season. Maybe in the next game they might have Benjamin Sesko starts, and then it will be a totally different dynamic, in terms of United attacking. But if United can play like this in every game of the season, then it has to be massive improvement in terms of where they will end at the end of the season. But what matters is the goals. What matters is the result. And Arsenal found a way to win that game. Every top team has to find a way to win. I think Arteta has moved from that point of trying to always play beautiful football. For him, he feels like he's walking on thin ice. So it's more about getting the result. And then they were able to get the result. We saw a new routine, a new set piece routine for Arsenal. It's something that is a big part of their game. Yes, it annoys a lot of opponents, but it's a big part of their game. And they were able to take advantage of it. As to whether or not it was a foul, it wasn't a foul, I'm not really going to go into that conversation. Exactly. They found a way to win. United created a lot of chances. Arsenal were resolute in defense. David Raya made some very, very top saves in that game. And so I just feel that United still have a couple of weeks to sort out whatever they need to sort out. If they needed any more proof about their goalkeeping department, that game was a typical example. That midfield area, to me, I feel that United still needs strengthening there. Because look, when Casemiro went off, Ugarte came on, he gave the ball away a couple of times. I don't think
was
that he
terrible.
gives United, yes, that balance United needs in midfield. Bruno Fernandes himself, I feel that he also has quite a number of things to improve in his game,
But that's not his role.
especially when it comes to sticking to his position.
But that's not. It's
You know,
he's not.
he's a
He's not
victim.
him.
He's a victim of his own abilities.
And for me, I even
because
think
of
that
how
he's a
good he is.
victim of circumstance.
Yes, so he has to be the one to make, just like Wayne Rooney,
Yeah.
had to make sacrifices to play in different positions on the pitch. Because look, you bring in Mbemo, you bring in Cunha, you're not going to put one of them on the bench for Bruno to play as a 10.
Yeah.
So yes, he can equally play as an 8. I think he's good in that position. But when he plays for Portugal, sometimes we see him play as an 8. But he has a Vitinha
Yeah.
by him
Yeah.
who will do all that mopping up and do all that. So that's what United need. United need a player like that can allow Bruno to play that number 8 role as best as he can. He gave that wayward pass. It wasn't a wayward pass, but it was a bad pass to Lenny Euro that resulted in that corner kick. So sometimes there are certain players that you don't want to find in certain positions on the pitch. And so I feel that United still have an opportunity to correct one or two things. But look, I was very impressed with the work rate, especially off the ball. How quick United were able to recover possession after losing possession. The tackling and then the commitment and the fact that the players were willing to go in for those tackles. You saw what happened at the end of the game, how dejected they were losing that game. You could have said that they played brilliantly, but we saw Cunha. He was his debut in the Premier League. We saw his body language. We saw Mbeumo's body language. And I think that the options that United have in attack, they were able to bring in, Ahmad, Mason Mount. I also think if he can stay fit, would be solid for United this season. We saw him come on. We saw some of those changes that United made. And I think tactically, the boys are beginning to understand what the coach wants to do. And the fact that they will not be playing midweek football for United because they are not in Europe, they have more time on the training ground. I noticed Dogu's improvements in the game. And at some point, he started going infield. And Luke Shaw, because Arsenal were practically defending, there was no point having that extra defender at the back for Man United. So we saw Luke Shaw go out wide at some point, and Dogu was more of
he became an invented
exactly. So
winger.
You look at all these things tactically. These are things that except you didn't watch United last season, on this first game of the season against a team like Arsenal, we could see some of those things and how the guys were able to adapt to it. I think going forward, if United can get their acts together, bring in that midfielder that they need, if possible, bring in a goalkeeper, I think United would surprise a lot of teams.
Am I the only one who thinks that who thinks that it's mediocrity speaking, not in terms of Sammy? When I hear United fans said, "Oh, we played well, it was exciting, the players were, they showed commitment and all of that." It's the first game of the season against one of your rivals in the Premier League, against one of the biggest teams in the Premier League. You don't expect United to cower. You expect the new boys like Cunha and Mbeumo to want to prove to the fans why they were signed. I've always said Cunha, brilliant player. He's one of the players when he gets going, you can hardly stop him. But I think that genuinely, those who are saying that United played well, it was exciting, it was all of that, for me, it's mediocrity. Why do I say so? I say so because, listen, I didn't expect anything less. Because why? United cannot afford, or they couldn't have afforded to put up any of a less performance that they did yesterday, because they are playing in front of their teaming fans. It's a new season. They have everything to prove to the fans that, listen, we are ready to rise above the challenges we faced last season. You know, nobody eats. We played well. Eventually, United lost this game, and you may want to say Arsenal were defensive. I think Arsenal were smart, adapted to the situation. First game of the season, we don't need to go out for all 3 points. A draw is okay because for a club like Arsenal, they've probably studied their next 15 games, their next 10 games. No, these two are the biggest. Let's get at least a point or two from here, then we can manage the rest. If you look at United's next 10 games, in those 10 games, they are playing City, they are playing Chelsea, they are playing Liverpool, they are playing Spurs. They are literally playing all the big boys in that space. So if you come up against Arsenal, one of the big boys, at home, opening day of the season, the chances United created, there's no excuse for them losing that game yesterday. There's no excuse because I think United were the better team on the day in terms of attacking wise, but defensively, Arsenal were brilliant. But you don't create the number of chances United created and still lose because as we speak, just as we spoke in the same manner for Atletico, United are 0 points. It's early days yet, but I think that in with such speaking, we played well. We played well. We played well does not win you the trophy. We are here talking about a Hansi Flick who is even complaining about his team not playing well, even though they won. It speaks to the two different mindsets. So for me, I'm excited what I saw. I've never doubted Cunha's, abilities. I've never doubted Mbeumo's abilities. They were solid on the day. I think a player like Luke Shaw, very solid on the day. Mason Mount, workaholic, very good on the day. Bruno, like Sammy said, he wasn't so Bruno. Maybe because of how he's being played. Casemiro, after 60 minutes, he's gone. We know he doesn't have the legs again. Ugarte comes on, terrible. Dugu, brilliant on the day. Like he said, 20 plus shots on United created enough chance. You see, if you play the season this way, we played well, we created well. Maybe Zesco will come in and he'll be the guy who will get them the goals. It's a big maybe. Nobody knows. But I think that when you get a team like Arsenal on the ropes like this, you don't let them go. So for me, again, it's my thinking. I think it was just mediocrity and a team that has been starved with a certain kind of attacking football for years. And so they get excited. But I don't think that if I am Amorim, I'll be excited. There's nothing exciting about this team or this performance yesterday.
Well, you've spoken at length, but there are some flaws in the logic you sought to put out there. First of all, see, when I talked about the Liverpool situation, I mentioned that they do not have a sound defense.
Yeah.
In the last 3 seasons, plus, I do not think that any team bar Arsenal has had a better defense than anybody.
That's true.
So United played against
The best defense.
the best defense we've seen in the EPL in the last 3+ seasons.
And it was evident on the day yesterday.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Secondly, United, some few months, not even a year into their project, played against a team that is in the 7th year of its project. Obviously, you would expect the fluctuations. Number 3, one of the biggest things that has had Manchester United fans decry about the team has to be the passion, has to be the work rate. I've sat on this show and stated a couple of times that the players at City, the players at Liverpool, the players at Arsenal, name them, all the players at the top clubs. One of the things that sets them apart has to be the desire, has to be the work rate.
In relation to the passion, won't someone argue on the tangent that is as they say, a monitor lizard race, Mampamemika is first season.
No.
So they are showing some level of passion and all of that.
No, passion. You can read passion in a number of ways. I mean, body language, how they react to situations.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the first game of the season. So let's do something to show that yes, we are passionate.
But let me tell you something. Before the start of the game yesterday, I was a bit afraid. I mean, being a Manchester United fan, because obviously you are going up against the second best team in England for the last 3 seasons. You understand? So I was a bit afraid. I mean, that okay, this is Arsenal. We've always spoken about the fact that the missing piece to their game has to be a top level striker.
Yeah.
And so I was caught in two minds. Whether United will be in for a huge reckoning, all of their frailties will be deflated. But like Sammy said, you probably take away that goal, which was conceded. Very soft goal. Very soft goal. Totally avoidable.
I think Bayern could have done better.
Somebody said there were no bones in his hands.
No, you as a goalkeeper, you control that area. So the slightest shove, if you fall down, the referee whistles. And so I don't know what he was thinking.
I do not think that he showed enough strength.
Enough strength.
You understand?
And
the top goalkeepers will show a lot of strength
Yeah.
and a lot of. But listen, I get why United fans are excited and rightly so.
Why do you think they're excited? And why is this?
To play against Arsenal and to give them a dose of their own medicine. I have not watched a game where Arsenal were pinned in their half constantly for the number of minutes that they were.
But you know that what Arsenal did,
hold on.
Especially in the second half.
Hold on. And I also think that one of the things that we do not say about Arsenal so much has to be Raya. Top class goalkeeper.
You don't take.
You know, when Dugu made that cross and Mbeumo headed up, I jumped off my seat because I knew it was a goal.
Especially when it bounced off the ground.
But I did not know there was Raya.
And
listen.
That Cunha parry that he parried Cunha's no ball.
I am happy.
Okay.
Because one, I saw something that was semblance to the United I supported growing up.
Which is?
Cavalier approach. Goal. Directness. You are not scared of the opponent. You are playing for the badge. See, I saw Cunha. I saw Mbeumo. Even Sesko, I've seen Dogu. You know, Dogu is one of the most maligned. My good friend Sami is here. Maligned player, but he's taking it in his chin, worked hard. Over the weekend, I saw comparisons that, even in the context of the EPL this far, the two best attacking wing backs. So they were mentioning Frimpong and then Dogu. You understand? But I think that the team play, and like Sami said, I loved the guys at the back. Delayed.
Because Arsenal,
how they handle goal carries.
That's where when we talk about Arsenal, there's something
yes, goal carries is new to the league, but everybody knows him. He's a physical striker. He likes to have his way with central defenders, but the level of physicality that Delete, I think that Delete put in a marvelous performance
in the first
early embers of the game. Yeah. But for me, I am excited. There are days you watch games, you lose the games, but you know that the good days are coming back.
From what you've seen,
from what I saw yesterday
of rain.
Oh man, the good days are surely coming back. And the one thing that yesterday I slept like a baby. I absolutely slept like a baby. Even though we lost. The one thing that excites me is that it looks like this current manager and the administration know who it is that they want.
Okay.
That's why when you mentioned the Glaziers earlier, I said that the Glaziers have spent money, but we have not spent on the right players. I look at Cunha. He reminds me of a young Bruno Fernandes. Direct, going forward,
but haven't you been seeing Cunha do this for Atletico Madrid?
No. The point is
that's him.
The point is that there are some players who we have bought, seen them do well with their teams, come to Manchester United, and all of a sudden they have become bad players. I saw Mbeumo yesterday. Fantastic. Sesko will settle in. The goals will come. I have never been this excited about a project like this at Manchester United for a long time. And I am happy because all of a sudden we have options. All of a sudden. To think that, and you see, not so many teams can defend the way Arsenal defend. That is what gets me excited. Because Against any other team, they would have cowered.
Let's talk about Arsenal before we wrap up on this. I mean, and that's where I think that if anybody had watched Arsenal were deliberate in the second half the way they decided to defend. They decided not to throw so much body in there in terms of attacking wise. And I'm excited about Arsenal for how the team is. Mikel Arteta is not afraid to cede possession to teams and defend because he knows how good his team can defend and defend well. And that's what he did yesterday. And for me, when they play in games where you can afford to cede possession and defend well and get the point, that is what might eventually get you, out of the line or get you out of the wolves. And if Arsenal fans are watching, they're listening, they should be excited because this team is very difficult to break down. And like Kofi said, this team in the last 3 seasons has been the best team defensively. And it was evident yesterday. On any other given day, United would have put like 3, 4, 5 goals at the back of the net. On any other given day.
Well,
but you see, my problem with Arsenal is that, and Sammy, I told you when we're previewing the teams that if Arsenal do not play for goal scorers, he'll become one of the terrible strikers in the league. They have options and outlets, good. But you don't bring in a 60 million pound player whose only strength is that he thrives with space because he's not the best of dribblers. He cannot take one-on-one. He's not. He's very strong. He plays with his back 10 to go. So when there is space for him to run through, he does that. You have very good creators and ball movers around in your team. What do? Map up strategies that will suit whatever you have. And I cited the Erling Haaland example. As good as City have options, when Haaland came, he is our target man. Who'll play for him. He'll get the 50 plus goals. If Arsenal don't do that, Gokeres will just once in a while he'll score, but he will not even get up to 20 league goals because if you saw how De Ligt and Euro handled him, and we are going to be seeing a lot of that in the Premier League. Find him the spaces because you have Odegaard who can find those spaces. You have Zubimendi who can find those spaces. You have Kai Havertz who, when he plays, he can find those spaces. But why did they decide to play in a way that literally isolated him? It was so easy for the United defenders to defend against Gokeres. We saw his numbers, very poor. 4 touches in the 18-yard box. He rarely had a single shot or at goal because he was very much isolated. Odegaard did everything that he did, but you do not have a striker of such ilk. Very good, can shoot the ball very well, very good in the air, and do not take advantage of his strength. And that's what for me was a negative aspect of Arsenal's game. But aside that, I think that Arsenal played a brilliant game.
But I don't think that it was that negative. I think every match and how the coach decides to play. And I think in that game against United, it was just the circumstances of the game that made the coach play in that manner. And then sometimes you might choose to defend. And when you want to defend, obviously, your attacker is practically useless because he doesn't have anything coming at him. So there will be games where Arsenal will dominate possession. There will be games where Arsenal will be on the front foot, and that's where we might see the best of him. Yes, this is the Premier League, very physical. We saw how, as you said, the late Euro, especially at the beginning of the game, trying to, show a lot of dominance and physicality with the area balls and all of that to let him know that this is a Premier League. So when they win those first balls, it gives them that confidence to go on in the game. But Arteta decided to sit back. It's also in-game management. They got that early goal, and then he decided to play in a certain way because he trusts his back line. But look, going forward, there are other games that Arsenal will definitely need to score goals. Because if that goal hadn't come, it would have been a different conversation. They might have been forced to open up. And I think United would have scored. But they took advantage of the set piece, which is a big part of their game. They got the goal, and it worked for Arsenal. So in other games in the league going forward, when Arsenal will actually need the likes of Saka to step up, and Odegaard and Martinelli on the other side, Madueke is also there now.
Don't talk about
That's where we would need to see the real Arsenal. Because look, I was not impressed with Arsenal's front lines. They are attacking. I can't remember any big save Bayende made in that game, save that howler for that goal. I don't really recollect the saves that he made. So Bukayo Saka yesterday in that game, I didn't really see the best of him. I didn't really see the best of Odegaard. If Arsenal are going into the season, as much as they have a good defense, look, they need to win games. They can't go into games, drawing games or relying on corner kicks or set pieces. Yes, it's a big part of their game, but they need to win games. And if we are going to judge by what we saw yesterday, I would only give Arteta the benefit of doubt that it was a big game. You're going away from home against a Man United that would want to prove a point.
You don't want to lose.
You don't want to lose that game.
Yeah.
And so for him, it's about winning the league. It's not about playing pretty football.
That's
so
true.
typical Arsenal will never sit back.
Yeah.
But now I think he's maturing and understanding that, look, it's about winning the game.
true.
There will be games where Arsenal will go and dominate.
Yeah.
Maybe if they come up against a City, they might play in the same manner.
Yeah.
Maybe if they get an early goal, they might sit back.
Yeah.
But these things have their own, consequences. At some point, you might not meet a team that will not bury chances like United. You might meet a Liverpool where Mohamed Salah can make something happen out of nothing, and then you concede. So I think Arteta needs to look at the all-round play of his team. He was lucky he had a goalkeeper like Raya, Saliba, and then Gabriel at the back doing a solid job. But look, the likes of Saka and Martinelli and Odegaard behind Gyökeres, these guys need to start getting very creative in the league going forward. But for United, look, except you didn't watch Manchester United last season, if you watched them last season and you watch how they played yesterday, I'm sure as a United fan, you should be excited that it's a massive improvement. Yes, it's just one game, but if United can build on that, it's a massive improvement from what for a team that finished 15th in the league. I don't think anybody's expecting Man United to win the league, but there's a lot to be excited for from that performance.
Are you excited? Are you as excited as My United fans are, about this particular United team and the performance they put up on Sunday against Arsenal? Let us know your thoughts via the comment section. Keep the conversation going. Were you impressed with Arsenal? Also, by Chelsea fans, you think that it's just a one game? I mean, let's not be too hard on Chelsea. And also, Barcelona fan, let us know what your thoughts are on the team, and also in the La Liga this season. We need a comprehensive take from you in the comment section. This has been a review of the games that took place over the weekend across Europe, i.e. the Premier League and the La Liga. It's Sports 101. Make sure you are always part of the conversation by subscribing to the channel or watch any of our videos and be part of the team. We love you so much. Also follow us on Facebook. It's Sport10ONE. On TikTok, it's Sport101 Live. We have an interesting news for you. So in the front of FPL, that's the football fantasy Premier League. Yes, Sport 101 is challenging you to be part of our fantasy Premier League. And the exciting thing is that the winner must walk away with 2,000 Ghana cedis. Boy, oh boy. I'm not joined because I don't know if you've joined.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting my right after this show. So, the code will be put on the screen. So just make sure you join the Sport 101 Fantasy Premier League. Like I said, the winner at the end of the season will be walking away with a cool 3,000 Ghana cedis. This is Sport 101.